From a daredevil in Bulgaria that flew this Airbus within feet of a bridge, and a group of skydivers whose plane stalled only moments after they jumped out, to a grand entrance via helicopter that gave everyone quite the shock, and a heart-pounding performance over Florida by some of the most skilled pilots in the world. Here are 10 mind-blowing aviation moments caught on camera. Mosel Bay is a harbor town of about 120,000 people in South Africa. If you thought it looked beautiful on the ground, wait until you see it from 16,000 feet up. On October 14th of 2021, a group of skydivers took off in a Beechcraft C-90 King Air. Once they reached their jumping altitude of 16,000 feet, the daredevils opened the door and began lining up outside the plane. They were so focused on preparing to jump that none of them noticed the pilot having engine trouble. Suddenly, the plane tilted sideways, bucking them all off. Our cameraman was the only person who recognized something wrong with the plane. He felt it slip once or twice and let go before the plane tilted. That's why he got separated from the group early on and was able to film the close call. Thankfully, the pilot regained control and landed safely. There were still 4 jumpers inside. You can even see one jumping out before the camera looks away. Our cameraman regrouped with his jump buddies, and the team performed some neat tricks before pulling their parachutes. Everyone made it to the ground safely and reported the incident to the proper authorities. Belleville, Michigan is a small city about 30 miles west of Detroit. It's home to nearly 4,000 people who every year gather to watch death-defying pilots show off in their planes. The annual Thunder over Michigan Air Show features modern jets capable of breaking the sound barrier and old-school planes from World Wars I and II. And while only the most skilled pilots around get to pilot these planes, it doesn't mean disaster can't strike. The 2023 show nearly went up in flames when these fighter pilots were forced to eject. Thankfully, they landed safely, and nobody was hurt during the aftermath.
Whoa. Yeah.
The F-23 ejected.
They were flying a Russian-made MiG-23 fighter jet when the pilot lost control and the plane began falling. His backseater wanted to eject, but the pilot thought he could land it. According to an official report, the backseater pulled the ejection lever for both seats, likely saving their lives. The plane crashed about a mile from the airport. It went up in a massive ball of fire and black smoke while leaving a 600-foot gash in the ground. Thankfully, it landed in an open area, narrowly missing an apartment building. In the United States, high school seniors look forward to prom. In South Africa, they look forward to the matric dance. It takes place during their matriculation year, or their 12th and final year of school. Most arrive in style, with some going above and beyond. It was matric season of 2014 at Wagpost High School. The festivities were held at Fatherland's Estate, a beautiful wedding and event venue in Brits, South Africa. One couple decided to show off by arriving in a private helicopter. Unfortunately, their grand entrance didn't go as planned. Luckily, the couple and the pilot were safe inside the helicopter. Everyone was clear of the power line, but the accident did cause a small brush fire near the venue. According to an expert, the pilot got in trouble after changing his landing course. Early on, you can see a man pointing the pilot to land somewhere else. The entire accident was likely his fault. It's unclear why he waved the pilot off. Hopefully, it wasn't for a better photo op. Lancaster, Pennsylvania is among the oldest inland cities in the United States. It's about 70 miles west of Philadelphia and has been around since 1729. During the American Revolution, Lancaster served as the U.S. capital for one day after the British took Philadelphia. It's a fun little city full of rich American history. On February 10th of 2016, two women wanted to soak in all that history from the comfort of a hot air balloon. Their pilot got them going as three men pushed from behind. Unfortunately, their trip got off to a bad start and only went downhill from there.
Oh, la maison, la maison, la maison, la maison. Ouais, ouais. Aïe, 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 aïe. Attention. Ah, ils ont déchiré la toile, là.
Our French cameraman said the house, and careful as the balloon crashed. The men who had helped them get off the ground sprinted over, now fighting to get them back down. The balloon deflated faster than they thought, resulting in this scary moment.
Oui, j'ai tout. Enfin, je pense.
Thankfully, everybody made it down without a scratch. It's unclear if this was the pilot's fault or a gust of bad luck. We assume these terrified women decided to keep both feet on the ground after this. The Danube River is the second longest waterway in Europe after the Volga River in Russia. It rises in Germany and flows over 1,700 miles through 9 other countries before emptying into the Black Sea. In the middle of its journey, the Danube winds through Budapest, the capital of Hungary. Every year, locals gather for the Budapest Air Show, where some of the best pilots test their skills over the Danube River. Two daredevils behind the controls of an Airbus A320 wanted to see how close they could fly to the bridges over the river.
Con la körre.
Ez komoly személyek. Most nem.
Hát ez nem fontos.
Vége van. De jó volt.
Ez jó.
Captains David Morgan and Andras Arde are the two men behind this wild stunt. It was the first time anybody had flown so close to the Budapest bridges. From what we can gather, these bridges play a major role in the air show each year. Pilots in small planes usually fly under them or do laps around them. It's not every day that you see a commercial jet passing a few dozen feet above the road. For as long as he can remember, professional skydiver Konstantin Petrichuk has always wanted to throw a car out of an airplane. In August of 2020, he and his buddies made that dream a reality. They drove out near Area 51 to try one of the craziest stunts ever attempted. First, the team spent several weeks in Texas modifying a Toyota Corolla FX. Some of these mods included draining its fluid, removing its engine, and adding a solid bottom. The only problem is they had no idea how the car would behave in the air. There, of course, was only one way to find out. The car flipped over suddenly, forcefully ejecting all 5 passengers. They pulled their parachutes and watched their Trump 2020 car plummet toward the Arizona desert. Here's what all their hard work looked like in the end.
Never have I ever jumped a car out of an airplane. Lost that game.
All of our hard work smashed. Wow. I think we can patch it up and do it again.
A few team members suffered minor bruises during the ejection. When the car first leaves the plane, you can see one of them scrape the side as it flips end over end. Our friend in the passenger seat also hit his head on the windshield when the car flips. Thankfully, he was wearing a helmet, and the bar was covered in tape. You might want to start calling Konstantin and his buddies Fast and Furious. The RAF Cosford Air Show happens every year in Wolverhampton, England. Royal Air Force pilots will fly everything from modern jets to World War II planes. The 2017 show was humming along. About 50,000 people had come to watch fighter jets and bombers tear up the sky. That's when a Vampire WZ-507 taxied onto the runway. Instead of tearing up the sky, this pilot tore up the tarmac. This old-school jet still had some fight in it. It didn't just rip up part of the runway, it nearly shredded the entire thing. The pilot may not have known what was happening. He apparently took off and performed his routine as scheduled. The de Havilland Vampire is an RAF jet developed by the de Havilland Aircraft Company. It was developed during World War II, but didn't enter service until 1946 after the war was over. It was retired in 1966 and only appears at events like the RAF Cosford Air Show. The Blue Angels are the second oldest aerobatic team in the world. They began performing in 1946, 15 years after the French Patrouille de France formed in 1931. These days, a team of skilled pilots perform death-defying stunts in Boeing FA-18 Super Hornets. One of those stunts is called the double farvel. It's when 4 pilots fly in a diamond formation. The lead and rear pilot then rotate their planes to fly upside down. Here's what that looks like in real time from the rear pilot's perspective. Before 1979, the Blue Angels only performed the single farvel, which involved the lead pilot flying upside down while everyone else flew normally. Once they proved they could execute the double farvel safely, it was added to the routine and has been a staple ever since. Here's what the stunt looks like from the side pilot's perspective. Now, the hard part about flying upside down and in negative G's is that all your controls are reversed. It's a crucial fact these pilots need to remember, especially when they're so close together and traveling near the speed of sound. But these pilots are some of the best in America. Flying upside down at 700 miles per hour is just another Wednesday for them. Reno, Nevada is a fairly large city about 7 hours northwest of Las Vegas. Since 1964, the city has hosted the National Championship Air Races, a multi-day event that caters to aviation enthusiasts with a need for speed. Back in 2016, Jeff Rose had just secured first place when he decided to take a victory lap. He flew his number 23 Mong Sport in the Gold Class biplane category, leaving all the other pilots in his wing's wake. Unfortunately, it wasn't going to be an easy taxi up to the winner's podium. Jeff landed on the runway and was taxiing back toward the hangar when another pilot clipped his plane. Multiple cameras rigged to Jeff's plane capture the quick impact. The exact crash moment is hard to see. That's because the other plane comes up on Jeff's right side. Their wings clip, causing both planes to spin out of control. You can see it briefly if we freeze right here. Thankfully, neither pilot was injured in the crash. Jeff, who's a dentist by day, had been flying his custom-built Mong Sport 2002 for several years. He called it the Reno Rabbit, and she netted him third place at the 2014 and 2015 race. The Rabbit finally secured a victory in 2016, but paid a heavy price. It didn't survive the crash. His team got busy building a new plane. Between parts and labor, it probably cost him about 6 root canals and a dozen fillings. Skiathos is a small Greek island in the Aegean Sea. It's home to about 5,800 people and one woman who learned why you shouldn't park behind a Boeing 757. In her defense, plenty of people were parked and camped near the airport, watching planes take off and seeing if they could stand up to the engine power. She may have kept her footing, but her trunk didn't fare too well. Try explaining this one to your mechanic. Or worse, the rental agency. It's both a bit sad and funny the way she stands there with her hand on her bent-up trunk. She's probably wondering what the hell to do now. Given the fame of the airport, it's unlikely she wound up there by accident. She probably wanted to experience the thrill of it for herself, and just never expected it to be quite that strong. It's unclear if they could fix the trunk, or if they had to drive around like that. The Beriv BE-200 Altair is a Russian amphibious vehicle. It's like if you married a small seaplane and a commercial jet. It's based on an old design for the A-40 Albatross, which NATO codenamed Mermaid. Like the actual Albatross, this is one big seabird. In 2016, locals near the water in Gelendzhik, Russia, watched one of these birds take off in the Black Sea. If these planes become more mainstream, we'll soon have oceanic airports. The BE-200 was designed as a firefighting plane capable of carrying 3,200 gallons of water. It can also hold up to 72 passengers, which isn't ideal from a commercial standpoint. They're meant for maritime patrol and search and rescue missions. The US actually ordered 4 of these from Russia back in 2019. However, international sanctions after the Russian invasion of Ukraine squashed the deal. You won't be flying in one of these anytime soon. If you enjoyed this video and want to see another just like it, be sure to click the link on screen now. As always, thanks for watching and be sure to tune in next time.